Just as sophomore year began, my roommate Lavinia couldn't wait to sign up for a yoga class near campus. Only top-tier women deserve top-tier men. To become that kind of woman, you need a perfect figure, aura. You should sign up too. She dragged me to the yoga studio entrance, where I saw a group of girls in tight yoga outfits performing advanced poses inside the glass-walled room. Her eyes were filled with longing, but I immediately turned and pulled her back the way we came. I tried to reason with her. There's a package delivery station next door, too many people around, this isn't the right place for yoga, let's go back. Lavinia shook off my hand and said dismissively, I think it's just fine here. The more people stop to watch, the more it shows we're drawing their attention. Lavinia refused to leave and made a scene, insisting on signing up. I immediately called her own brother to come and stop her. She was forcibly taken back to school later. The owner of the yoga studio married a wealthy local businessman. My roommate hated me so much that she secretly poisoned my water and killed me. If it weren't for you getting in my way, I would have married a top-tier man and lived the life of a wealthy lady. No need to struggle or work hard. When I opened my eyes again, I had gone back to the day my roommate was about to sign up for yoga class. A sharp, agonizing pain shot through my entire body, and the feeling of being on the brink of death returned. In the next instant, my soul plummeted from the heights and returned to its rightful place. When I opened my eyes again, a chaotic mix of sounds filled my ears. There was the blaring sound of someone watching short videos, the thumping of someone dancing to music nearby, and Lavinia's voice shouting right next to me, Aura, this influencer is absolutely right. Only a top-tier woman is worthy of a top-tier man. Studying all day is useless. You still need to learn how to serve and obey men. With a soft body and perfect figure, no man would dislike it. Lavinia spoke enthusiastically, holding my hand tightly. If we weren't from the same hometown, I wouldn't bother telling you this. There's a yoga studio in the neighborhood next to campus, run by our senior. They're running a promotion right now, she said. Once we learn the ropes, she'll introduce us to some wealthy men. Lavinia's eyes lit up, her excitement palpable even though she was whispering. She winked and nudged me, waiting for my response. After waiting forever with no reaction from me, she started getting antsy. What's wrong with you? Can't you understand plain language? I haven't told anyone about this good news, only you. We'll graduate in 2 years. Do you really want to slave away day and night after graduation? Finding a top-tier man is a woman's ultimate goal. Don't be foolish, ultimately. This world is still a man's world. If you want to rise above others, your only option is to land a top-tier man. Lavinia kept rambling on. I remember turning her down politely in my past life. Decent men are already hard to come by in this world, let alone the so-called top-tier ones you're talking about. Lavinia shot me a disdainful look. Don't be so dense. If they're rare, you fight for them. Scarcity drives value. That's why we need to use every trick in the book to snag a wealthy man before graduation, before we end up slaving away like cattle out there. My senior told me, the yoga studio is right next to the courier station. This is an upscale neighborhood. Everyone living here is worth tens of millions. They've passed by the yoga studio on their way to pick up packages, more than a few times, actually, too. Lavinia and I are from the same hometown. I live in the city, while her family is from a mountain area in our region, one that's nationally known, but only because of its poverty. It was only with the help of many people in society that Lavinia overcame countless hardships and was admitted to our school. In the past, I simply thought it was due to her different living environment that she had so many unrealistic ideas. I sympathized with her tragic fate and also feared that she would be deceived at such a young age and head down a path of no return, so I spoke up to advise her. She dismissed it outright and even called me foolish for not taking shortcuts. Later, to keep her from going down the wrong path, I told her older brother who lived out of town. After she was brought back, she grew resentful toward me. Besides the passive-aggressive remarks, she sometimes deliberately embarrassed me in class. It wasn't until she saw the yoga studio owner marry into the small business owner's family that she started holding a grudge against me. Later, while I was away from the dorm, she secretly poisoned the water cup on my desk. I vaguely remember the scene of being resuscitated in the hospital. The doctors and nurses asked me if I had eaten any strange food recently. I can't quite recall, but I remember drinking from the cup and then climbing up the ladder to go to sleep. It wasn't until I realized something was wrong that I frantically called for help. A searing pain shot through me, as if my insides were about to burst out. By the time the ambulance arrived, my roommates had already started arguing. Some suggested taking me to the hospital, while others rushed downstairs to call the campus doctor. Only Lavinia, seizing the moment when no one was paying attention, shut the dormitory door to deliberately stall for time and prevent the medical staff from entering. Later, their argument grew increasingly heated, and one of the roommates ended up in a physical altercation with Lavinia. It was only then that the dormitory door was finally opened, but it was too late. I didn't know what poison I had been exposed to. The doctors didn't even have time to identify it before I died in the operating room. Only after death did I realize I had been poisoned by an unknown snake venom. It turned out Lavinia had planned it all along. She had someone source this poison from abroad. And even if the doctors had identified the specific venom, obtaining an antidote would have been nearly impossible in such a short time. 3. I pinched my thigh hard, and the sharp pain jolted me awake instantly. The heavens took pity on me and granted me a second chance at life. This time, I refused to be a pushover anymore. Lavinia dragged me straight to the yoga studio entrance. Standing before the large glass door, I noticed the bustling courier station next to it. This was peak hour for picking up packages. A line of people waiting to collect parcels stretched from the courier station's entrance all the way to the shops behind the yoga studio. There were both men and women, but every man waiting in line at the yoga studio's entrance had his eyes fixed inside. The transparent glass offered an unobstructed view, making the people inside and their movements clearly visible. A few girls inside noticed the men staring at them and actually started smiling. They kept turning their heads frequently toward the men at the door, not even trying to hide their desire for attention. Several middle-aged, balding men at the door grinned creepily, pulled out their phones, and sneakily captured photos of the yoga poses the women were performing. This familiar scene makes me a bit uneasy. In my past life, when I saw this exact scene, I couldn't hold back. I immediately wanted to grab everyone and run. I'm determined to stop Lavinia from coming back. Seeing this again, it's clear I'm much calmer now. Look, the place is beautifully decorated, we're wearing form-fitting yoga outfits, and every move we make inside is completely visible from outside. The senior student said they keep the curtains open on purpose, so those lecherous men outside can get an eyeful. When the time is right, she'll introduce us to the wealthy men living in this complex. Lavinia was itching to change into workout clothes and join the yoga session right then and there. I pretended to be captivated and chimed in with agreement, but in my mind, I was thinking, waiting for the right moment, I bet your senior sister has taken all the money from your pocket and sold you out as a favor. I want to sign up. Lavinia excitedly tugged at her senior sister Octavia and shouted loudly. She tugged at my hand and made the decision for me. Sign her up too. I hesitated and said slowly, I'll pass, money's tight right now. Lavinia's expression instantly changed. No money, how is that possible? Didn't you just buy a down jacket a few days ago? That cost thousands. I don't believe you're broke. I chuckled and explained, I'm broke after buying that down jacket. If you're short on cash, just ask your parents for money. I'm still waiting for you to pay the registration fee, if we both signed up. We could have gotten a discount. I was trying to save you money, but since you can't afford it, just give me the cash for my registration first. You can sign up later when your parents give you the money. Watching her brazenly demand money with such entitlement, all I wanted was to shake off her hand and walk away. I don't feel like engaging with her. In the past, I pitied her for coming from a poor family with no support, relying solely on handouts to get by. Occasionally, I'd give her some of my pocket money. Little did I know it would make her greedy. That's why she reacted so strongly after I turned her down. Aura, I'm talking to you. Are you even listening? Just because you're broke doesn't mean I'll put my yoga class on hold. Go ask your parents for money right now, Lavinia urged anxiously. Unfortunately, I just had a fight with my parents and can't get the money. As the words hung in the air, Lavinia saw the smile vanish from her senior's face and instantly felt embarrassed. Her eyes widened as she yelled at me, I think you're doing this on purpose. You don't want me to sign up and meet a top-tier man who'll outshine you. You're so jealous. Why do you pretend to be nice all the time? You're just putting on a show for everyone. Seeing her vicious expression, I couldn't help but feel amused. They're so used to taking advantage of me. One rejection and they immediately turn hostile. Having lived through this once before, I don't even have the patience to talk to her anymore. If that's what you choose to believe, there's nothing I can do about it. I really don't have any money on me right now. My senior gave me a thoughtful look, then smiled and took Lavinia's hand, saying, It's normal for students to be short on money, especially you. I know about your family situation. Well, if you're serious about learning yoga with me, you can pay me later when you have the money. Just give me an IOU for now. I noticed the look of joyful gratitude on Lavinia's face. It was exactly the same as when I first gave her $500 for her meal card. I couldn't help but roll my eyes discreetly. This person is the type to put on a show of gratitude when they get something, but the moment they walk out that door, they'll forget all about your kindness. If you're too nice to people, they'll just take it for granted. Having lived through this life again, I've come to terms with things. The world has no shortage of good people, but no shortage of bad ones either. 5. As I was leaving the yoga studio, I overheard some creepy guys discussing a video they just shot. Damn, that pose is fire. Just shared it in the group chat. Guys, save it for yourselves. Yo, that girl who just walked in is clearly a college student. You can tell just by looking at her face, she seems easy. Bet she'd be a wild time in bed. Her body's alright, but her face is kinda plain, eyes too small. Chest not big enough, she could use some enhancements. Guys, this one's mine, hands off, I'm hitting up Octavia right now. The sound faded into the distance. I pretended nothing had happened and went straight back to school. In my past life, because I interfered, Lavinia didn't end up staying at the yoga studio. Turns out I was the one who meddled and made her get chosen by that top-tier man. Hey, Aura, why are you back by yourself? Where's Lavinia? My roommate Moira asked in surprise. After all, we used to be like conjoined twins, doing everything together. I gave a wry smile. She signed up for a yoga class and is in the middle of a session, so I came back first. After brushing it off with a couple of words, I lay down on the bed. My mind is still replaying those men's conversation. That bunch didn't look like decent folks at all. When Lavinia came back, she was loaded down with bags of shopping. Among them was that little designer bag I'd been saving up for months to buy. I raised an eyebrow on the first day of class, and I've already caught a wealthy bachelor. My roommates were also surprised and asked, Lavinia, did you win the lottery? You bought so many things. Wow, there's even the strawberry cake from that new bakery downtown. It's so expensive. I've been wanting to try it for ages. I glanced over, then lay back down, scrolling through my phone while listening to them talk. Lavinia never buys food outside and brings it back to the dorm to treat us, usually. The rest of us would occasionally bring some food back to share with everyone. Everyone understands her situation, and no one has any objections. Sometimes, we would buy an extra set of daily necessities for her without even discussing it. Lavinia was beaming with joy as she shared the day's achievements, her face glowing with excitement. After a few questions from her roommate, she was over the moon with delight. Eat as much as you want today. If it's not enough, I'll buy more next time. My roommate thought I was asleep and hurried over to wake me. I was about to decline when Lavinia cut in. Aura's family is broke, but she hasn't had fancy cake like this in ages. Come on, my treat today. Lavinia tilted her chin up and shot me a smug look. I couldn't help but find her remark amusing. This cake is pricey. But it's not like I can't afford it. If I really wanted to, I could treat myself to it a few times a week. Seeing the challenge in Lavinia's eyes, I knew turning her down would make her lose face. Given her fragile ego, she'd definitely hold it against me. I got out of bed, took a small piece to eat, and then smiled as I joined my roommate in complimenting her a few times. Lavinia's expression softened when she saw my face, and she stopped being sarcastic with me. 6. Lavinia. Did you win the lottery or strike it rich? Yeah, you didn't suddenly make a fortune from stock trading, did you? I tilted my head slightly, wondering what exactly she had been through in the yoga studio all afternoon. Lavinia let out a smug chuckle, unable to hide the triumph in her eyes. Not at all, she said. What you're talking about are just short-term meal tickets. What I want is a long-term one. The kind that'll let me spend money for a lifetime, so. Are you guys interested in coming? I turned to look at her, swallowed hard. Was it really what I thought it was? Of the two roommates, only Moira seemed genuinely intrigued by what she said. Moira's family runs a small business. They're not rich, but they're not poor either. She's been very sheltered by her family, yet she's actually the most innocent one in our dorm. Moira, I'm interested. Lavinia, tell us quickly. How exactly did you do it? Lavinia raised an eyebrow, studying Moira intently until it became unsettling, then said leisurely, Your eyes are too small. Getting double eyelid surgery would look better. I frowned, about to speak up and remind Moira. Luckily, Moira lost most of her interest as soon as she heard that. It still depends on looks. I'm fine with the single eyelids my mom gave me, not interested in changing them. Forget it. Looks like this isn't for me. I'm not going. Lavinia got impatient. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So many people get double eyelid surgery these days. It's painless, harmless, and just a minor minimally invasive procedure. No need to worry. Seeing Moira was having second thoughts, Lavinia quickly backtracked. If you really don't want to go through with the eye surgery, then don't. Dress up nicely this weekend, put on some good makeup, and just give it a try. My other roommate and I frowned more and more deeply. This whole thing sounded anything but good. I glanced at Moira with concern. Though she seemed reluctant, she eventually gave in to Lavinia's persistent coaxing. The next moment, Lavinia turned to persuade another roommate, but the other person clearly sensed something fishy and flat-out refused 3 times in a row. In the end, Lavinia lost her patience and stopped trying to convince them. Lavinia, Aura, what about you? Are you coming along? I chuckled and asked in return, what is it for? Don't be so mysterious. Just tell us already. What exactly is it about, Moira? Yeah, we're all sisters in the same dorm. You've been talking for a while but still haven't told us what it's about. Spill the beans. All the secrecy. Anyone would think we're doing something illegal. Another roommate rolled her eyes and said sarcastically. I breathed a sigh of relief. At least there was someone else in the dorm who was as clear-headed as I was. Still, the bluntness of the remark left Lavinia feeling uneasy. What do you mean by that? You're making it sound like I'm forcing you to do something shady. I'm only telling you guys because we're roommates. You've looked out for me before, so I wanted to share this opportunity with you first. All of this is what I scored this afternoon. I paid for it with real money, no stealing, no cheating. Believe it or not, honestly, if I told other people about this, plenty would jump at the chance to join me. I let out a deep sigh, exchanged a glance with my other roommate, and said, "Don't be upset, we just wanted to understand the situation first, Moira. Yeah, they didn't mean any harm, don't overthink it." In the end, Lavinia stormed out of the dorm in anger. She spent the whole evening going from one dorm to another. 7. I thought most people would catch on to the trick right away and wouldn't be easily fooled. Maybe it's because Lavinia has been carrying loads of stuff back and forth lately, making many people green with envy. She actually managed to rope in over a dozen people, that even includes my roommate, Moira. With so many people going together, it should be fine, right? Oh man, I'm so tempted. Lavinia said if you run into a generous one, you could make tens of thousands in a single night. I watched as students from other classes kept coming to our dorm to ask about it. Everyone seemed really interested. My heart was pounding. Losing a bit of money to a scam is no big deal, consider it tuition paid to the school of life, but if it goes beyond financial loss, the impact on their lives could be devastating. To help them stay vigilant, I reached out to a well-meaning but gossipy girl in our class. I privately sent her numerous news stories about girls being scammed out of money and exploited. I also forwarded cases I'd collected about girls being tricked by traffickers and female students mysteriously disappearing. I casually mentioned that there are many scammers in society, and it's better to be safe than sorry. I thought the recipient would understand who I was referring to after seeing it. Tonight, the conversation among girls from several classes centered around Lavinia's offer to help them make big money. Even a few sensible male classmates picked up on the unusual vibe, posted about the anti-fraud app in the class group chat, practically tagging Lavinia without actually at ing her, unfortunately. The class group remained dead silent. Luckily, the kind-hearted girl caught on later, sent it directly to all female dormitory heads. The dorm heads will then forward it to their respective dorm group chats. By Friday, quite a few people had second thoughts and came to tell Lavinia they weren't going. Lavinia didn't think much of it. To her, having fewer people was actually a good thing. I breathed a quiet sigh of relief either way. It's good for everyone to stay vigilant. Even if something bad does happen, we can react quickly and get away. 8. Late at night, Lavinia came back with a bunch of snacks and fancy pastries. This time, she didn't just bring some to our dorm, but delivered to all the other dorms as well. She'd already changed out of what she was wearing this morning. She was also wearing an expensive watch on her wrist, worth at least $30,000, swaying her hips. She walked back and forth carrying elegant boxes of pastries, leaving a trail of fragrance in her wake. Given Lavinia's financial situation, there's no way she could come up with that much money all at once. Her own brother works at a factory in another city, earning at most $5,000 a month. With a wife and kids to support, her brother couldn't possibly scrape together that much cash for her in just a few days, unless he won the lottery. It's obvious that Lavinia's sudden generosity must have something to do with the yoga studio. Still, I had no idea who gave this money or what their intentions were. With an anxious heart, I stayed in the dorm all day. On Saturday night, neither Moira nor Lavinia returned to the dorm to sleep. My other roommate, who's a local, had gone home on Friday night, so I was the only one left in the entire dorm, anxious. I rushed to the next room first thing in the morning to ask around. Found out none of the people who went out with Lavinia had come back. I was about to call the police when a few people laughed at me for overreacting. We're all adults here. Staying out overnight is perfectly normal. What could possibly go wrong? Exactly. Besides, even if something happens, it's what they signed up for. They exchanged knowing glances, each look heavy with unspoken meaning. Clearly, they had long understood, ever since Lavinia's warning, that nothing in this world comes for free. But they preferred to steer clear of others' troubles, not wanting to get entangled in someone else's karma. Yet my mind kept returning to those cases I'd found online, young girls swindled out of money and dignity, and a growing unease settled in my heart. Fortunately, it wasn't long before there was movement outside. They had returned. They didn't all come back together, only a few of the girls returned. The girls came back loaded with all sorts of spoils. Dresses and skirts that cost thousands apiece, along with shoes they couldn't bring themselves to buy before. Everyone had a big smile on their face. Seeing them return safe and sound put my mind at ease, but the commotion drew in more girls asking about what happened. As more girls returned, the noise and excitement grew louder. Eventually, even students from the neighboring school came to inquire about joining. Watching them get carried away by emotion, I knew my opinion wouldn't carry much weight. Trying to reason with them at that moment would only earn me dirty looks. Even the usually warm-hearted girl stayed silent, so I didn't want to be a killjoy either. After coming to this realization, I shifted my focus and decided to devote time to preparing for the IELTS exam. In my previous life, my plan was to study abroad, something that remained an unfulfilled dream. I signed up for an IELTS prep course outside of school. I have to attend classes every week. Little did I expect to run into the owner of the yoga studio again during class 9. You're Lavinia's classmate, right? What a coincidence running into you here again. The female owner of the yoga studio looked me over with a beaming smile. Her gaze made me quite uncomfortable. I forced a smile and mumbled a few polite words, eager to get into the classroom, but she clearly wasn't about to let me off the hook. Oh. So that's why you didn't want to spend money on yoga classes last time. You were saving up for IELTS lessons. What a diligent and wonderful kid you are. I really admire hardworking people. You're just as lovely as Lavinia. I've waived the fee for your yoga classes. You're welcome to drop by my studio anytime you're free. Lately, Lavinia has been bringing quite a few classmates to class, and everyone leaves in high spirits. Why don't you come by my yoga studio tonight and hang out? I shook my head and declined. Thanks for the offer, senior, but I'm too drained. I need to head home and rest after class. My senior didn't seem ready to give up and continued. Even if you're tired, you can still drop by, sit for a bit, and relax with some tea. Wait for your classmates to finish their lesson, and then we can head back to school together. You can decide then if you're interested. I declined with a smile. Just then, the IELTS teacher came out, and I seized the chance to say goodbye before making a quick exit, but to my surprise, after class, she showed up with Moira and Lavinia to find me. Lavinia has been the talk of the town these past couple of days, with everyone trying to win her favor. I'm already on cloud 9 from all the compliments. She didn't look too happy to see me. It was clear she wasn't here of her own volition. What's so great about this IELTS class? I'd rather be taking yoga, Lavinia scoffed. Aura. I told you ages ago to sign up for yoga. You didn't listen, and now you regret it, don't you? A lot of people have been trying to reach me these past couple days, but I've told them all we're fully booked. There's only one spot left now. Are you in? I furrowed my brow and glanced at the shop owner, wondering why she was so fixated on me. I shook my head again, ready to turn her down. The shop owner cut in. Don't be so quick to say no. Dear, Moira is your roommate too, and she just signed up for our yoga class. Why not hear what she has to say? The shop owner shot Moira a meaningful look. I turned to look at her. Even after not seeing her for days, I could still detect a hint of panic on her face, knowing her as well as I do. Aura, I think it's pretty good. You could go check it out tonight. I know Moira well. If she genuinely thought it was a good thing, there wouldn't be a trace of hesitation in her expression. She's the type who wears every single thought on her face, plain as day. I stood frozen, staring at her. I was about to refuse again, but then I noticed a faint plea in her eyes. The shop owner chuckled and pulled out her phone to play a video. Look, this is what their training sessions look like. They're all working really hard. If they keep at it, their figures and posture are bound to improve. I watched the entire video from start to finish. Their yoga movements seem even more uninhibited than those you see in online yoga tutorials. It almost feels like a fusion of yoga and pole dancing. In just a few minutes, I spotted 4 different cameras in there. I wonder how many people will end up seeing this video. 10. I lowered my head in thought, then looked up with keen interest and said, Senior, they've only practiced a few times and already have this kind of result. Lavinia, I regret it now. I should have signed up with you guys last time. Lavinia tilted her head up, raised her chin, and let out a proud hum. That day, I watched them practice for an hour at the yoga studio. Up until then, everything had seemed completely normal. During the break, the senior student clapped her hands and asked everyone to gather around. She had something to say. Today's session is over. Line up one by one for testing later. She pointed toward a small room inside the glass-walled studio. Following their gaze, I turned and saw the girls present wearing varied expressions. Some looked eager to jump in, while others seemed conflicted, and a few were leaning by the door, ready to bolt, but it seemed like a few people were missing during the halftime break. Moira was among them. I was about to ask someone to help me find Moira, but my senior stopped me. You seem to have some dance foundation. Why don't you go in and give it a try later? She was right. I did practice dance for a while when I was younger. I lost interest and didn't keep it up. Clutching my bag, I declined. Maybe next time. I'm not feeling well today. Worried she might press further, I changed the subject. Senior, where's Moira? How come she disappeared in the middle of the dance? I was waiting for her so we could head back to campus together. My senior avoided eye contact, clearly feeling a bit guilty. She went out on a date with her boyfriend, probably won't be back tonight. I bit my lip. All right then, I'll head home for today. I'll come back another time. Her boyfriend, is that someone new? My senior classmate tried to persuade me for a while, but seeing I wouldn't budge, she reluctantly let me go. After leaving the neighborhood, instead of heading back to the dorm, I turned and went into the police station closest to campus. I found a stern-looking older officer inside and asked if I could speak with him privately. Noticing my serious expression, he led me into a room further inside. I suspect there's illegal activity being organized around here. I shared my suspicions with them, along with the unusual occurrences that had been happening at school lately. Coincidentally, they mentioned they'd been looking into some things themselves recently. Not long ago, a student died by suicide after jumping from a building. The parents suspected they were scammed out of money and manipulated through seduction, then blackmailed. The overwhelming pressure ultimately drove them to suicide. They were determined to investigate, but the perpetrators operated covertly. After the student's suicide, many of the leads they hoped to pursue went cold. I listened with a furrowed brow, my heart sinking to the pit of my stomach. Initially, I thought it was just about being secretly filmed. I never expected there was more to the story. 11. Just as I expected, Moira didn't come home again last night. During class the next day, someone sat next to me on their own initiative and struck up a conversation. Aura, I heard you went to the yoga studio yesterday. Your family's pretty well off, so I bet you've signed up for that socialite training program, right? My senior said that program is basically grooming women to be wives for the wealthy. If you manage to land a rich guy, could you hook me up with one too? You don't need to be rich, just a bit less well off than the person you're dating, finishing school. Is that another one of their money-making schemes? I said casually. The classes are expensive. I'm a bit strapped for cash right now and can't afford it. She covered her mouth and laughed. Same here. I think it's pricey too. 100,000. Can you believe it? I can't afford it myself. I was hoping you'd sign up, learn the ropes, then come back and teach me, maybe even introduce me to some of the leftovers from your matches. I'm not picky, even a factory owner's kid would do. My mind was buzzing with questions, and I had no idea if Lavinia had actually signed up for the class. After everyone left, I organized the information I'd gathered and sent it to a phone number. They replied quickly. They want me to bring the person they arranged next time I go to the yoga studio. I thought it was a policewoman coming, but it turned out to be Stella, a female student from the police academy next door. Let's go, Aura. When we get inside, just tell them I'm a friend you met during your part-time job, and say I'm also interested in yoga. I nodded in agreement, since they had arranged for someone to go undercover and gather evidence. All I could do was fully cooperate with their operation from the sidelines. The yoga studio owner was quite pleased that I brought a friend along. Just as she was about to lead me into the inner room, my friend stepped in and stopped her. She's not available today. She has to pick up her parents from the airport. Her parents have missed her for a long time. Let's not disturb their family reunion. After hearing this and seeing me nod in confirmation, my senior didn't dare to stop me any further. She sighed and said, I guess it'll have to be next time then. I was pretty much out of it the whole time, just going along with whatever Stella did. As soon as Stella gave me the lip to have you leave, I didn't hesitate and got out of there right away. On my way back to school, I saw Lavinia walking with a man. As I moved closer, I realized that man was one of the vulgar-talking guys from the courier station the other day, wasn't he? 12. They were walking with a sense of urgency. Something clearly couldn't wait. I found myself following the two of them almost involuntarily. It wasn't until I saw them looking up at a hotel rooftop that I followed their gaze. I was so terrified I nearly collapsed on the spot. From across the street, I heard Lavinia shouting, Moira, if you've got the guts, jump already. Are you out of your mind? Did you call me here just to watch you kill yourself? Lavinia's icy voice came through, every word dripping with cold precision. From over a dozen stories up, there's no telling if Moira could even hear those words. If she actually took those words to heart and jumped in a moment of despair, she'd be lucky to survive with anything less than life-altering injuries. I was trembling all over, unsure whether it was from rage or sheer terror. Moira's legs dangled over the edge of the rooftop. One slight shift forward and she'd plummet to the ground. With shaking hands, I pulled out my phone to text her. I never expected her to reply to me. Aura, my life is already ruined. The only way out is death. Please don't try to talk me out of it. You have no idea what I've been through. Just take this advice. Don't go into the small room in the yoga studio. After reading this message, I immediately replied, no matter what's happened, there's always a way to work it out. In time, you'll realize that what you're going through isn't as overwhelming as it seems right now, Moira. You can't do anything reckless. Don't let those who hurt you win. And think about it. If something happens to you, they'll just move on to hurt someone else. You can't be this kind to people who've wronged you. Hurting yourself only helps them, Moira. I'll help you. Please, just come down, okay? Right after sending that text, I immediately called the police. It'll take time for rescue to arrive. I can't just sit here and wait for death. Thinking about what Lavinia just said, I was so furious that I rushed over and slapped her hard across the face. Shut up. From now on, if I hear you say one more word, I'll slap you. After I said that, Lavinia looked stunned for a second. When she realized it was me, she let out an angry laugh. Aura, how dare you hit me? She lunged at me trying to counterattack, but luckily I was prepared. I dodged her move and seized the chance to kick her hard. Then, before she could react, I stepped forward and slapped her across the face. Lavinia, I'll settle the score with you later. If anything happens to Moira, you'll pay for it. I grabbed her hair with all my strength, kicked her again, and rushed upstairs. The creepy guy next to her just stood there, too scared to make a move. The wind on the balcony was fierce. I edged forward carefully and called out to Moira, who was staring into the distance. Moira, please come down. We're all still students. No matter what happened, everyone will do their best to keep it confidential. This won't become public knowledge. What we need to do now is bring the criminals to justice. There was another girl who got scammed and took her own life. Do you want to be the second? If you jump, there will be a third, a fourth. Moira turned her head slightly, glanced at me, and said calmly, but so what? I owe them a lot of money. If I don't pay them back, they'll release my videos for everyone to see. How could I face anyone after that? I thought they were good people. I never imagined they were all scammers. First, they tricked us into paying registration fees, then brought in a few men who pretended to be generous, buying us lots of gifts to make us fall for their scheme. Then they turned around and started some elite women's training program, pressuring us to pay even more fees. If we couldn't afford it, they sweet-talked us into signing loan agreements. During the so-called training, they convinced us to undress for a full body check. Later, during practice sessions, they secretly recorded us in compromising and humiliating videos. They even forced me to repay the loans. When I couldn't, they made me go meet men from outside. Moira was utterly heartbroken, her once bright eyes now dull and lifeless. It never crossed my mind that Moira would take her own life. Everyone has a different breaking point. We all go through a naive phase where even trivial matters can easily consume us. The immediate hardship gets blown out of proportion, seen as insurmountable, leading to self-defeat. The sound of an ambulance echoes nearby, with the rescue team in action downstairs. 13. Click. The rooftop door creaks open. I turned to look and saw a police officer and a bespectacled middle-aged woman approaching. The woman exchanged places with me and immediately began speaking with Moira. Initially, Moira was resistant to communicating with her, but the woman handled it professionally, calming her down while skillfully redirecting her attention. After nearly 40 minutes, they finally managed to talk Moira down. I let out a sigh of relief, fearing that Moira might become the second girl to be hurt and driven to suicide. As Moira was being helped away, she spotted Lavinia and flew into a rage again, rushing over and slapping her several times in a row. Lavinia, you big liar, you're in cahoots with them. Lavinia yelped in pain. My nose. I just had my nose done. Moira, what did I do wrong? You're the one who was foolish. No, you're the one who insisted on going. If anyone's to blame, it's yourself. Lavinia glanced at the officer nearby, then turned to Moira and warned, Moira, you need to think carefully before you speak. Don't say anything that could hurt others. Lavinia thought she could walk away unscathed, but little did she know, from the day I went to the police station, she had already been placed under close surveillance. Not long after Moira left, she too was summoned to the police station. A month later, word came that the yoga studio had been shut down. My senior fellow apprentice was arrested even before the yoga studio got closed. In the neighborhood where the yoga studio was located, over a dozen residents were also implicated in criminal activities and taken into custody. Lavinia had long since become their accomplice, recruiting many people from the school and facing multiple charges including fraud. The incident caused quite a stir locally and gained widespread attention. Fortunately, none of the victim's personal information was leaked, only the perpetrator's face was made public. When I saw his face, it struck me, he was the wealthy local businessman who married the yoga studio owner in my past life. It took over half a year from the full investigation to the case being transferred for prosecution, and finally to the verdict being delivered. This just shows how deeply these people had been hiding and how widespread the harm they caused was. In the end, several of the main culprits were sentenced to death, and Lavinia was sentenced to 10 years. Later, Lavinia had someone pass along a message asking me to go see her. I turned her down, but Lavinia wouldn't take no for an answer. After she sent word several times, I finally made time to see her. After being inside for a few months, she had become noticeably thinner, her nose looked misshapen, as if it had been broken and healed crooked. Her whole appearance seemed off, out of proportion. Aura Why didn't you stop me from signing up for that course back then? If you had stopped me from enrolling, I wouldn't have ended up like this. This is all your fault. Lavinia's eyes turned wild as she stared at me intensely. I suddenly burst out laughing. Lavinia, you're still the same as always shirking responsibility like a man-child. Have you forgotten what you said about Moira back then? You have no one to blame but yourself. I never made any decisions for you. Lavinia froze, her expression twisting. What do you mean? Back then, I smiled without answering. I stopped paying attention to her shouting. Because I reported the incident, the police department came to my school to commend me for my contribution. My reputation at school improved, and after graduation, people even offered to help me find a job. Several reputable companies, upon hearing about my story, specifically came to the school to invite me to join their firms. In the end, I chose a company that seemed to have the most potential. After working at the company for years and climbing to a mid-level position, the company organized a large team-building event. To my surprise, I ran into the father of the girl who, according to Officer Hat, had reportedly taken her own life. He held a fairly senior position at the company, but he mentioned that before his daughter's death, he was just an unmotivated low-level employee. Life was just plodding along for him, with no grand ambitions or drive to achieve anything in his career. Little did he know that his lack of effort would make his daughter too timid to ask for money at home. Being overly obedient and sensible, she had no choice but to seek help elsewhere. This ultimately led to her being scammed by strangers while desperately searching for money. After his daughter's death, he vowed to turn his life around. Fueled by this newfound determination, he began climbing the corporate ladder with remarkable success. He said all he wanted was to one day have the power to make those responsible for his daughter's death face the consequences they deserved. However, before he could gather enough evidence against these individuals, the case was already exposed. When he learned that I played a part in their arrest, he expressed his gratitude to me repeatedly, mentioning his daughter's untimely death. I could see profound regret hidden in his eyes. The end. Story 2. I raised the vermilion bird for 10 years. On the day of adulthood, he refused to become my summoned beast and chose my cousin instead. Even though my cousin already had a summoned beast, he was willing to be part of her harem rather than becoming my only one. All because he admired my cousin. With the family trial imminent, I desperately entered the Forbidden Land, attempting to contract a summoning beast. The demon beasts all despised me for lacking spiritual bones and having low cultivation, until I encountered a frail little snake. It pleaded, "Choose me." I chose him. Later, Suzaku came to me, his face pale. "Lorelei, do you really not want me anymore?" The little snake transformed into a legendary dragon, coiling tightly around me, breathing heavily. "I don't care, you can only have me, that so-called Suzaku. I forbid you to even glance at him." 1. I am the Holy Maiden of the Thousand Spirit Mountain, born with extraordinary talent and superior spiritual bones. At the age of 6, I was secretly harmed by enemies who extracted my spiritual bone, leaving me a cripple. My mother was heartbroken and exhausted all means to save my life, but couldn't restore my spiritual bone, having to replace it with a segment of beast bone instead. The beast bone was incompatible with me, preventing me from cultivation. Once I come of age, if the beast bone remains incompatible, I will die. Lorelei, I will ensure you successfully become the clan leader and enter the sacred grounds, where you and the beast bones will merge completely. Mother will never let you live an ordinary life and allow those who harmed you to laugh at us, with red-rimmed eyes. Mother stroked my head and made this promise: the foreign bones cannot integrate with me. Only the jade pool in the sacred grounds can cleanse my tendons and marrow, allowing my body to fully merge with the beast bones. This is the only way I can survive. The heritage ground can only be opened when succeeding as clan leader. To survive, I must become the leader. My mother is the clan leader, born with exceptional talent. I was naturally designated as the Holy Maiden, barring unforeseen circumstances. I should have smoothly ascended to clan leadership, but now, without spiritual bones, my cultivation has stagnated, and my position hangs by a thread. In the talent-filled Qianling Mountain, to inherit the position of clan leader, a cultivation waste simply cannot command respect. Mother, I don't want to be clan leader. I timidly tugged at Mother's sleeve and said, ever since waking from my severe injuries, after the clan members learned I couldn't cultivate, they wanted my talented cousin Amara to become the Holy Maiden instead. Some children often mock me to my face. Lorelei, you're so useless, even worse than an ordinary person. How dare you call yourself a saintess? When others find out that the saintess of our Thousand Spirit Mountain is actually a good-for-nothing, they all look down on us. Amidst everyone's gossip, over time, I've developed some inferiority complex. Maybe I should quickly pass the position of the saintess to my cousin. Don't be afraid, Lorelei. Cultivation level isn't the only criterion. Whether you can inherit the clan leader position depends on your adulthood. All of us in the Thousand Spirits clan excel at beast taming, even with low personal cultivation. Contracting powerful demon beasts allows us to command wind and rain. Mother comforted me. Her hand was so warm it made me cry. That was the last time I touched her warm fingers. Half a month later, when I touched Mother's hand again, it had already turned cold. To help me contract a high-level demon beast, my mother agreed to clear the miasma for the beast tribe, ultimately succumbing to poisoning. She had only one demand, that I contract with the young prince of the Vermilion Bird tribe. The Vermilion Bird tribe is innately noble and immensely powerful, with their royal lineage being peerlessly exalted, even if I'm a good-for-nothing. Forming a contract with the young prince of the Vermilion Bird tribe would secure my standing in Thousand Spirit Mountain on the day of my mother's funeral. The Vermilion Bird clan leader brought young Prince Alden before me and said with emotion, "From now on, he shall be your summoned beast." Alden possessed a beautiful face with porcelain white skin and raven black hair cascading down to his ankles. Two magnificent plumage feathers grew at the corners of his eyes, making him look enchantingly graceful. Most beast folk are beautiful, but the Vermilion Bird clan's appearance is particularly outstanding. I took a liking to him at first sight. Burying my mother, I suppressed my grief and grew up alongside Alden. I knew Alden was reluctant to be a useless summon, so I indulged him in everything, offering the finest things to please him. I prepared a spacious room for him, even ventured to the South Sea to find a phoenix tree as his perch, collecting morning dew for him daily. Birds love beauty, and I always buy him the latest outfits first, filling his wardrobe to the brim, but Alden has always been cold toward me. He transforms into his true form, a slender, multicolored bird with a long, magnificent tail. I long to touch his tail feathers, but he never lets me. Just when I thought the Vermilion Bird was aloof and treated everyone the same, I discovered he allowed someone to touch his tail feathers. Oh, what beautiful feathers! That day, I spent the whole morning collecting dewdrops for Alden and returned to the courtyard excitedly. Under the phoenix tree, the girl reached out and ought to stroke the Vermilion Bird's tail feathers. That person is my cousin Amara, too. I later found out that Amara often sneaked into the yard to meet Alden when I wasn't around. I just wanted to see the rare Vermilion Bird. I didn't tell you because I was afraid you'd be upset. After all, you lack spiritual bones and can't cultivate. What if you misunderstood and thought I was trying to steal your summoned beast? Facing my questioning, Amara explained, as if the reason she did this was because I was too sensitive and petty. I bit my lip hard, my eyes fixed on the pouch in Alden's hand, that was given to him by Amara. "If you're unwilling, I won't see him again," Amara said. Alden glanced at me, his voice cold. "I don't need her permission to see whoever I want. We haven't formally bonded yet." He then turned to Amara, his voice softening. "You're welcome to come whenever you like." It was the first time I'd seen him speak to someone so tenderly. His eyes seemingly filled with starlight. I deliberately sought out the embroiderer in the evening, spent several days learning embroidery, pricked my fingers full of bloody holes, and finally managed to stitch a barely presentable pouch. On the day it was finished, I gave the pouch to Alden. "Here, for you." "No way, it's hideous." Alden swatted it away with a paw, then flew off to the side clutching Amara's pouch in his mouth. My purse fell into the dirt, getting covered in dust. I walked over silently, picked it up, brushed it clean, and hung it at my waist. After that incident, Amara often came to visit openly. She always brought little trinkets in her hands. Every time, she manages to make Alden extremely happy. I couldn't help but say, "The gifts I gave you were much more valuable than hers, and I put a lot of thought into them. The things she gave you can be bought casually anywhere." Alden scoffed. "Amara is diligent and hardworking. She doesn't have time for trivial matters. Even if she gives me small trinkets, she took the time to specially find them. They come from the heart." He then sighed. "She is exceptionally talented, and the aura around her is captivating. If only I could be her summoned beast." I was thunderstruck, my voice tight. "Alden, you promised to be my summoning beast." "I know, no need to remind me." He gave me a disgusted look, transformed into his true form, and flew up the phoenix tree. The phoenix tree was so tall that I couldn't possibly climb it, nor could I see what he looked like. Every time I look up, it feels like gazing at an unreachable sky. To keep Alden's heart, I treated him even better, yet it had no effect. In his eyes, I'm a useless person who doesn't even try, just spending all day revolving around him. A decade has passed in the blink of an eye. Amara's cultivation progressed with astonishing speed, making her the brightest rising star. Even as a child, she displayed extraordinary talent, and in recent years, her gifts seem to have grown even more remarkable, leaving everyone far behind. Despite her young age, her reputation had already spread throughout the entire cultivation world. And I became the laughing-stock holy maiden, occupying the position without delivering results. On the day Amara came of age, she entered the demon beast forest and returned with contracts for 2 high-tier demon beasts, shaking the entire 1,000-spirit mountain. It's important to know that the higher the tier of a demon beast, the more possessive it becomes. Once you've contracted one, it won't allow its master to contract a second. Since ancient times, those capable of contracting multiple high-level spirit beasts have invariably been exceptionally talented individuals with extraordinary gifts. Only in this way can the spirit beasts willingly submit without attacking each other. The calls for Amara to become clan leader grow louder by the day, and I'm under unimaginable pressure. Another year passed, and I finally came of age. Alden, let's form a covenant. I couldn't wait to take Alden to the covenant altar for the ceremony. Everything had long been prepared. Colorful banners fluttered as all the people of Qianling Mountain came to witness. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, I pricked my finger and let my blood drip onto the altar below, then urged Alden to do the same. Alden didn't move. His expression was hesitant, and after a long pause, he finally said, "Lorelei, I don't want to." 3. My pupils trembled. "The thing I feared most has finally happened," Alden said. "How can I alone repay the beast tribe's debt of gratitude to your mother? This isn't fair. As the proud prince of the Vermilion Bird tribe, becoming a summon for a worthless human is truly the greatest humiliation." Transforming into a vermilion bird, he circled the sky several times before flying to Amara and lowering his noble head. "Amara, I wish to form a contract with you." Seeing this scene, my vision went black and I fainted. When I woke up, Alden had already formed a bond with Amara. Even though Amara already had a summoned beast, even though I promised he would be the only one, he still chose Amara. The Vermilion Bird clan leader rushed over to apologize upon hearing this, but the rice was already cooked. There was nothing to be done. "How about choosing another one?" he said. "The Yen Lord from the Fox clan is quite good." The Fox clan members hastily refused. "No, no, no. The little prince from the Leopard clan is much better." The Leopard clan flew into a rage. "What did you say?" The various parties kept pushing the responsibility onto each other, none willing to take it. Overwhelmed with grief and indignation, I shouted, "Enough, I want none of you." Without waiting for anyone to leave, I jumped off the bed and ran barefoot out of the room, all the way to my mother's grave. "Mother, I've failed you," I wept, kneeling on the ground. The graves lie silent. I wiped my tears and said stubbornly, "Mother, I won't beg them anymore. I'll go to the demon beast forest myself to see if I can find my own summoning beast." When I returned, the place was already deserted, the room empty and cold. I changed clothes, put on my shoes, gathered all my magical tools, and set out alone on the journey. Upon reaching adulthood, all Qianlingshan people enter the beast forest to find their summoning beasts. It's extremely dangerous inside, with high risk of losing one's life. But at this moment, I feel like dying wouldn't matter anyway. Having lost the Vermilion Bird, I can't inherit the clan leader position or enter the heritage grounds. I'll die regardless. Wow, the Saintess actually entered the demon beast forest. She actually walked in on foot. How hilarious. Just as we entered the valley, disciples from Qianling Mountain spotted me and began circling around me with playful grins. Rustling sounds emerged as a small black snake slithered out from the grass, moving toward us. "Hey, isn't this just an ordinary snake? It's approaching us on its own, seems quite spirited, maybe it wants to form a contract with us." Who would ever contract with such a common snake? Before the little snake could get close, a disciple raised his foot and kicked it away maliciously. The little snake fell onto the rock with a thud, unable to move for a while, apparently seriously injured. The further out in the forest, the lower the level of demon beasts, and even ordinary people can harm them. The disciples were unwilling to form contracts with low-level demon beasts. "Let's not waste time. Hurry inside. Holy maiden, you can slowly walk in on foot." They flew away laughing loudly. After they flew far away, I walked to the stone, picked up the little snake, and fed it some spiritual liquid, feeling better now. Seeing the little snake being kicked away in disdain reminded me of my own experiences in the 1,000-spirit mountain. Out of shared suffering, I decided to help. The little snake shook its head dizzily, as if recovering, then coiled its tail around my arm. Understanding its intention, I chuckled wryly. "I won't form a contract with you. I'm just a good-for-nothing. You should leave." I crouched down, picked up the little snake and placed it on the ground, then stood up to walk away. The little snake tirelessly followed me. The entire surrounding valley was deathly silent, with only me and the snake. After walking a long distance, I finally spotted a couple of birds and rabbits. They ran over to glance at me, but upon realizing I was just an ordinary human, they walked away. About a day later, I reached the central part of the forest. Dangers lurk within. Fortunately, although my cultivation is weak, I never gave up on martial arts in daily life. With agile movements and ample magical tools prepared, I managed to turn danger into safety every time. The demon beasts I encountered were either extremely ferocious or looked down on my low cultivation level. All refused to form a contract with me. After struggling all the way to the heart of the forest, we finally saw a high-level demon beast. It naturally noticed I lacked spirit bones and roared fiercely at me. Time waits for no one. This is the one. There are two methods to contract a spirit beast, voluntary or forced. Nowadays, demon beasts are unwilling to form contracts with me. To survive, I have no choice but to resort to the second method. The winner takes all. I took out the life-saving magical artifact I had prepared and, relying on my mortal body and wits, managed to hold my own against it for 3 days and nights until it finally collapsed from exhaustion. By this point, the artifact had completely shattered, and I was left with no tools whatsoever. Staggering forward, I bit my finger, ready to form a contract with it. Suddenly, someone flew out from the side and kicked me away. It's mine. The one who kicked me was the same disciple who had kicked the little snake in the valley. Excitedly, he pricked his finger and let his blood drip onto the demon beast's forehead. No, I lay on the ground, crying out in despair. He turned a deaf ear and quickly formed the contract. Holy maiden, you're just trash. How pitiful for a high-level demon beast to be your summoned creature. Don't overestimate yourself. The disciple proudly kicked me again and swaggered away. I lay motionless on the ground, without forming a contract with a demon beast. My stamina was exhausted, all my magical artifacts were shattered, and I simply couldn't survive alone in this forest. Perhaps this is the best ending. I lay on the ground waiting to die. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my fingertip. I slowly turned my head and saw the little snake that had been following me, now sucking blood from my fingertip, trying to form a contract with me, as if pleading, choose me. I suddenly laughed, but as I laughed, I began to cry. You, of all people, had to choose me, this worthless fool. Fine, have it your way. I began chanting the incantation. The contract was successfully formed. A burst of white light erupted from the little snake. The glow grew increasingly brighter. I hastily raised my hand to shield my eyes. What's going on? It's just an ordinary snake. How could it cause such a huge reaction? The little snake melted into the white light, and peace returned to the surroundings. Before long, a distant rumbling sound suddenly echoed, and the ground began to shake. Countless demon beasts fled in frenzy, as if some immense danger was awakening. A white light shot into the sky, and after a dragon's roar that shook the heavens, a black dragon emerged from the ground, flying before me in the blink of an eye. As it landed heavily, the earth trembled and mountains shook. Facing the colossal creature before me, I instinctively wanted to flee, but my severe injuries made escape impossible. The black dragon did not attack me. Lorelei, from now on, you shall be this venerable one's master. The black dragon spoke, its voice haughty and cold. Then, it transformed into a handsome man dressed in black with ankle-length hair and dark eyes. Who are you? I asked the man uneasily. The man replied, I am the snake who just formed a covenant with you. As he finished speaking, his figure vanished, and a small black snake descended before me, crawling up my arm, panting as it climbed, as if utterly exhausted. Let me rest on you for a while. If it weren't for the majestic black dragon that just landed before me moments ago, I could hardly believe this tiny creature in front of me was the same colossal being from before. Just as I was about to speak, the man's voice rang out again. Don't look down on me. I've been sealed for 1,000 years, nearly scattered to the winds, and now I need your spiritual energy to gradually recover. Sealed for 1,000 years. Black dragon. 2 keywords made my face turn pale instantly. According to ancient texts of the Thousand Spirits clan, long ago, their contracts with demon beasts were extremely cruel, treating the beasts almost like slaves. Later, a snake demon with extraordinary talent cultivated into a dragon, defied control, and gained the power to break human-beast contracts. All summoned beasts received his aid, obeyed his commands, betrayed their masters, causing devastating casualties to the entire Thousand Spirits clan. The serpent demon occupied Qianling Mountain, reigning as a tyrant. Later, the major sects of the cultivation world united to suppress this beast, restoring peace to Qianling Mountain. From then on, the contracts between demonic beasts and humans were no longer as cruel as before. I remember, that demonic beast was called, since you are the master, you ought to know my name. The black serpent flicked its tongue, its cold body coiling around my arm. I am called Talon. Talon, it really is him. My entire body turned ice cold. Legend says the serpent demon possessed immense cultivation power, since no one could kill him in ancient times. They forcibly suppressed him using the soul-extinguishing array, attempting to annihilate his spirit. Our ancestors warned never to release the array's seal or succumb to his temptations to form a pact, lest he be set free. We have always strictly followed our ancestors' decree. Unexpectedly, Talon's soul essence transformed into a small snake after millennia, escaping the array to seduce me into forming a contract, thereby freeing him from the soul-extinguishing array. If others were to find out, My transgression would be unforgivable, but now the rice is cooked, I'm completely overwhelmed. I've wandered in this forest for so many years, hoping someone would form a contract with me, but no one would look at someone as weak as me, Talon said with emotion. If no one forms a contract with me to help me escape this soul-destroying array, I'll soon dissipate completely. I was about to lose all hope when you chose me. I immediately said, since I'm your savior, you can't kill me. The little snake twisted its body with a smile. How could that be? You're my master after all. The words my master were drawn out slowly and deliberately. His speech carried an ancient rhythm, deep and melodious, laced with a hint of temptation. It inexplicably made one blush. Seeing that he didn't seem intent on killing me, I breathed a sigh of relief and mustered the courage to ask. Then could you do me a favor, help me secure the position of clan leader? Talon can ignore the power of contracts, so forming a pact with him doesn't give me complete control over him. In other words, he can break the contract and leave at any time, become the leader of the Thousand Spirits clan. The little black snake raised its head, its forked red tongue hissing. Sure, I had just breathed a sigh of relief when he said, however, you'll have to support me first. Ha, Talon said. Having been suppressed for too long, I'm very weak now. I immediately thumped my chest and said, no problem, and so, Talon and I reached an agreement. I raised him, and he helped me ascend to the position of clan leader. The journey out of the forest went smoothly. Just by releasing a hint of his aura, Talon caused other beasts to flee in panic. The less intelligent and more bestial the low-level demon beasts were, the more sensitive they became to his presence. I walked out of the forest almost completely unimpeded. The little black snake did nothing but coil around me. Originally, by contracting a high-level demon beast, I could fly using its power. What I couldn't believe was that Talon actually couldn't do it. I just escaped the soul-extinguishing array and am currently very weak. He says he's just an ordinary little snake now, completely powerless. Only after I carefully nurture him for a while can he regain his cultivation. As for when he'll recover, it's uncertain, he said it so confidently that it left me speechless. A slender snake, looking so fragile it might snap with a pinch, as if anyone could easily kill it. Nothing like the arrogant and wicked great demon beast recorded in ancient texts. I even started to worry. Could he really help me ascend to the position of clan leader? Or perhaps, is he truly the legendary Talon? Could it just be some random imposter? Are you doubting this venerable one? The little black snake questioned with acute sensitivity. Shouldn't I be suspicious? I retorted righteously while glaring at him. After locking eyes with me for a moment, the little black snake snorted lightly. Too late. Even if I were some random stray, we've already formed a contract. There's no backing out now. You're right, I sighed softly, resigned to my fate as I slowly trudged out of the forest on foot. 5. When I appeared at Qianling Mountain, everyone stared at me in disbelief. How is this possible? She actually came out alive. Among the crowd, Alden was also present. Seeing me, he floated over in his magnificent attire and asked, "Are you all right?" His expression actually seemed somewhat tense. I sneered at him. "You already have a master. Why do you care about me?" Alden's face stiffened as he turned his head. Amara stood not far away, smiling as if unconcerned by Alden's actions. Behind her stood two handsome men, likely her beast companions, one of whom chuckled and said, "If the vermilion bird still clings to his former master, why insist on competing with us for Our Lady?" Another person snorted coldly, "Right, might as well have followed that damn saintess from the beginning." Alden immediately dropped me and walked up to Amara. "Amara, don't misunderstand. I was just asking." Finally, he added, "After all, her mother once did a favor for the beast kin, I don't mind." Amara shook her head with a smile and approached me. "Lorelei, what summoned beast did you contract with in the forest this time?" I gazed at her. She was deliberately embarrassing me. With my abilities, everyone knew I couldn't possibly contract a high-level demon beast. Amara looked at me innocently. Someone had already noticed the little black snake on my arm and mocked, "Look, isn't that the ordinary black snake we saw in the valley?" I turned my head and saw several disciples who had mocked me in the valley earlier. That's such a low-level snake. The esteemed holy maiden of Thousand Spirit Mountain actually contracted an ordinary demon beast. It's utterly laughable. She probably won't pass the clan leader's test half a month from now. Failing would be for the best. She's just an ordinary person yet has been occupying the holy maiden's position all this time. If she fails this test and the clan selects a new holy maiden, Amara will surely be chosen, and our Thousand Spirit Mountain won't be ridiculed anymore. A crowd was whispering, their disdain for me completely undisguised. In the cultivation world, strength reigns supreme. I was never welcome to begin with. After my mother's death, the clan members intensified their bullying, hoping I'd step down for someone more worthy. They said the saintess represents the strength of Thousand Spirit Mountain, and a waste like me occupying the position was tarnishing the entire Thousand Spirit clan. But if I lose my position as the Holy Maiden, I won't be able to inherit the clan leader's position. Without inheriting the clan leader's position, I can't enter the legacy grounds to cleanse my meridians and marrow, and will soon die. I don't covet status or power. The only reason I've endured being the Holy Maiden is simply to survive. Oh, I remember now. Isn't the snake on the Holy Maiden's arm the same black snake I kicked away before? A disciple stared at the little black snake for a while before suddenly realizing and slapping his hand. If the Holy Maiden can't contract a high-level demon beast, she shouldn't stoop to contracting such an ordinary snake either. If other sects find out, where would our Thousand Spirit Mountain's reputation be? My gaze turned icy cold. The person speaking was none other than the one who ambushed me in the forest and stole my demon beast. I said, Dane, you stole my demon beast, and I haven't settled the score with you yet. Stole your demon beast? How could that be? Dane chuckled, stroking the demon beast beside him, a deer demon, the very one he took from me, with hooves as weapons and immense strength. The demon beast I contracted was naturally one I worked hard to find myself. Holy Maiden. You accuse me without proof. Do you have any evidence? I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself down. Without evidence, Dane would never admit it, and no one would help me. I'll deal with him after securing the clan leader position. Just then, the little black snake suddenly hissed toward Dane's direction. Seeing me silent, Dane looked smug, certain I could only swallow the grievance. However, the deer demon beside him suddenly became agitated, raising its hooves with a long cry, sending massive shockwaves in all directions. As its forehooves stomped down, the ground caved in significantly. What's happening? The demon beast is going berserk. The crowd scattered in panic. Dane, control it quickly, Dane urgently shouted. Stop, stop, what's going on? You were always so obedient before. The demon beast turned a deaf ear, spinning wildly in place, ignoring Dane's desperate calls. I command you to calm down. Dane flew into a rage, attempting to control the demon beast. If a demon beast forms a pact with a human, it can be forcibly subdued. However, after Dane chanted the incantation for a long time, the deer demon only grew more ferocious. Following a shrill cry, the deer demon suddenly charged at Dane, and with a terrified look in his eyes, it raised its front hooves and kicked at his head. With just that one kick, his head was actually sent flying, killing Dane. The deer demon galloped away on all fours. Everything happened in an instant, from the demon beast's rampage to Dane being kicked headless. Mere moments passed. Dane's head fell from the sky, landing in the mud, his face frozen in shock, his body collapsed heavily to the ground. After a scream, the scene descended into chaos. Some fled, some chased the demon beast, while others went to rescue Dane. My heart pounded like a drum as I quickly led Talon away. Running to a secluded spot, I whispered, "Was that you playing tricks just now?" Only Talon can break the covenant between humans and beasts. The little black snake flicked its tongue and said sinisterly, "He severely injured me and stole your belongings. He deserves to die 10,000 times over. Didn't he enjoy kicking people? Well, I'll make sure he gets kicked to death." "What, you think he shouldn't be killed?" "He should," I quickly replied, feeling a chill down my spine as the arm coiled around me felt heavier than 1,000 pounds. The snake, no. This dragon is certainly no good. What if we offend him? Once I become the clan leader and resolve the beast bone issue in my body, I should quickly part ways with him and leave Qianling Mountain. You did the right thing. Avenging me moves me deeply. I flattered him with obsequious humility. The little black snake's tail, coiled around my arm, flicked contentedly. "You know what's good for you, Lorelei," a voice came from behind. I turned my head and saw Mara walking over with her ribbons fluttering. "What is it?" I asked coldly. She took Suzaku away and deliberately embarrassed me earlier, so I didn't give her a friendly look. "Are you all right just now?" she asked with concern. Me, "Of course I'm fine." Amara sighed in relief. "That's good to hear. Spit it out if you've got something to say," I said coldly. Amara wasn't angry. "Here's the thing. I do have something to say. Stay away from Suzaku from now on. He's mine now. And if you keep hanging around him, people will start gossiping." I laughed in disbelief. He was the one who initiated contact with me, not me forcing myself on him. Coming after me is ridiculous. I'm doing this for your own good. Ha, that line again. For my good. If you truly cared, you should have refused Shukei back then. Amara, your hypocrisy makes me sick. Amara frowned and said helplessly, "I don't want to argue with you." Changing the subject, she spoke earnestly. "By the way, you should just give up on the trial half a month from now." "What?" I froze. Amara's tone was gentle. "Although you're the saintess, your cultivation is weak. The vermilion bird rejected you, and now you've contracted with an ordinary snake. There's no way you can pass the trial. It's better to give up early than to lose your life." So this was her real intention. That's a matter for half a month later. Success isn't guaranteed, so there's no need for cousin to worry. I finished speaking expressionlessly and left with Talon. After walking some distance, Talon suddenly said, "That woman just now was strange. She actually had 2 spirit bones." I said, "Indeed, she is one of the rare individuals born with 2 spirit bones." It was common knowledge in Qianling Mountain that Amara was born with 2 spirit bones. This was why she was hailed as a prodigy. Nor would she have contracted 3 high-tier spirit beasts at such a young age. Even the vermilion bird had always admired her. "No," Talon said, "there's something wrong with the spirit bones on her body." "What's the problem?" "The aura feels different." I was somewhat puzzled. "How exactly is it different?" Talon said, "One of the spirit bones most likely doesn't belong to her." "How is that possible?" I exclaimed in surprise. "Why wouldn't it be possible?" Talon scoffed lightly. "This venerable one knows of a technique that can extract another spirit bone for temporary use. However, it can only be borrowed temporarily and cannot fully integrate. Legend has it that the Jade Pool in the Thousand Spirit Mountains heritage site can cleanse the marrow and refine the bones, allowing foreign spirit bones to completely merge. Once baptized in the Jade Pool, the foreign spirit bone will fuse as one, and the person will be unharmed." Hearing his words, my heart suddenly tightened. A strange thought flashed through my mind. 6. Does she really have someone else's spirit bone? I quickly asked. Talon said, "Not sure yet. I'll find a chance to extract her spirit bone and see if the speculation is true." Me, that doesn't seem right. Just to confirm his own suspicions, he wants to extract someone's spirit bone. This guy is truly dangerous, Talon sneered. "This woman is ambitious and wants to steal your position as clan leader." "What's the big deal about extracting her spirit bone?" I paused slightly. "You wanted to extract her bones, for my sake." "What else?" Talon said. "During the bonding ceremony, I noticed her spirit bones had been extracted and replaced with beast bones. When I saw that woman Amara today and sensed the peculiar aura of 2 spirit bones on her, it was hard not to suspect they were yours." I bite my lip, truth be told, when Talon mentioned that the spirit bone on Amara wasn't hers. My first thought was the same suspicion, but Amara was born with 2 spirit bones, I murmur. Before I was destroyed, she was the genius. Though I detest Amara, so far it hasn't reached a life or death level of enmity. Normally, she treats me with a degree of courtesy, not tormenting me like the others do. The greatest contradiction is the vermilion bird, yet the vermilion bird willingly chose her of its own accord. It was not taken by force. My jealousy is real. But I cannot cross moral boundaries to kill her and extract her bones merely out of suspicion. That's unclear. Without extraction, there's no way to judge. The little black snake yawned, commanding loftily, "This venerable one is tired. Hurry and attend to my rest." I gazed at the slender little snake on my arm with mixed emotions. This demon is indeed domineering and unrestrained, but doesn't seem as bad as the legends say. Back in my room, I made a nest with cloth strips and placed the little black snake inside. The small snake coiled up and fell into a deep sleep. I was also exhausted after coming out of the forest. After washing up, I lay down on the bed to rest. In my drowsy state, I suddenly felt like I was thrown into a frozen wilderness. I kept walking and walking, my body growing colder until I gradually turned into a block of ice. At the last moment, I suddenly opened my eyes. My body was tightly held in the arms of a strange man. The man's body was cold and hard as iron, making me shiver uncontrollably. "Talon," I pushed him with all my strength. The man frowned slightly, slowly opening his beautiful dark eyes, displeased. "What are you doing? You, how dare you climb into my bed?" I stammered furiously, my face burning crimson. Talon propped himself up, his ink-black hair spilling across the sheets, his brows furrowing deeper. "You're my master. Isn't it normal for us to sleep together?" My face grew even hotter. "Men and women should maintain proper distance. Enough, we beasts don't care about such things." He pulled me into his arms and lay back down. "Freezing here. Keep holding me. Don't let go." I was dumbfounded. How could he have the nerve to say such shameless words to an unmarried girl? "No." I struggled with all my might. Talon glared at me, his eyes now vertical yellow slits, a sign of serpentine anger. "Didn't we agree? I help you seize the clan leadership, and you help me regain my strength. Sticking to you is how I recover my cultivation. Refuse again, and I'll make you regret it." His tone was icy, remembering his past atrocities and the real possibility he might kill me. I froze completely, not daring to move. Seeing I'd stopped resisting, the man's vertical pupils shifted back to human-like black ones. Satisfied, he kept holding me and murmured, "So warm." A cold-blooded creature is actually afraid of the cold. I silently cursed in my heart but didn't dare say it out loud. A wise man knows when to yield. Too tired to bother arguing with him anymore. Just like that, we fell asleep in each other's arms until the next day. Just woke up, my stomach is growling. Haven't eaten for nearly a full day. I'm starving to death. This venerable one is hungry. Feed me now. A certain cold-blooded creature's haughty voice sounded in my ear. I gritted my teeth, suppressing my anger as I asked, "What do you want to eat?" "Of course, I want to eat you," the man declared shamelessly. I turned my head to see the man's pupils had transformed into dangerous vertical slits, his lower body morphing into a sleek black serpentine form, with rows of translucent scales neatly arranged along his smooth tail. Before I could react, the black serpentine body swiftly coiled around me, tightly constricting my body. He wrapped both arms around me, roughly twisted my head aside, opened his mouth, extended two sharp fangs, and bit into my neck. The entire process was swift, agile, and violent. No different from a snake hunting its prey. The only difference was that he warned me beforehand. No matter what, being uncultured is just that, uncivilized and rude. As if still untamed, finished sucking, my head was pressed uncomfortably, and I said expressionlessly, "If you keep going, I'll die, and then you'll have nothing left to eat." Perhaps those words had an effect. The snake reluctantly released me, raising its head with a hissing pant. A trace of bright red blood lingered at the corner of its flushed lips, forming a stark contrast against its pale skin. This untamed appearance carries an inexplicable danger and allure, making it impossible to look away. I admit I'm somewhat drawn to him. His eyes narrowed slightly, turning into vertical slits. It seems his pupils change when angry, and they also change when happy. He had eaten his fill. So I got out of bed to find something to satisfy my hunger. When I returned to the room, the man had turned back into a little black snake, curled up in its nest resting. 7. I recuperated in the room for 2 days, constantly entangled by the snake and unable to get out of bed. Because he felt cold and needed warmth, I offered to light a fire for him, but he said only through the power of the contract could he recover using my body heat. So hard to please. The vermilion bird was already difficult to care for before, but this snake is even worse, clingy, domineering, willful. And it likes to bite. We didn't leave the house until 2 days later, just stepped out and ran into Suzaku arguing with 2 men behind the mountain. Those are Amara's harem members. "Hey, Prince Suzaku, you were the one who insisted on forming a pact with our master back then. What are you so resentful about now? Everything follows the principle of first come, first served. We formed our pacts before you did. Even if you're the vermilion bird, you're still the junior here. How dare you try to monopolize our master? Even if someone could, I'm the first, he's the second, and you're just the third wheel. As the third wheel, you should serve our master, the first, and the second properly. Stop sulking and throwing tantrums all day. Did you think we're saints who'd spoil you every day?" Alden couldn't win the argument against them, his eyes turning red with anger. "Born noble, even when sent to Qianling Mountain as my summoned beast. I've always indulged him and held him in high regard. He admires Amara and chose her despite her already having a summoned beast, never imagining he would face ridicule from others. Given his personality, he probably finds it hard to bear. Seeing me appear, Alden opened his mouth as if feeling awkward. The other 2 men transformed into their beast forms and flew away. "Lorelei," Alden stammered as he approached me. "Call me the Saintess," I reminded him expressionlessly. "And stay away, you're already Amara's summoned beast now." Alden lowered his head. After a moment, he seemed to notice the bottle in my hand and smiled again. "Are you gathering dew, MHM?" I nodded and stood up to leave. The snake lord at home is extremely picky. He refuses to drink ordinary water and only drinks my blood when thirsty. I couldn't take it anymore and asked if he'd be willing to substitute with morning dew instead. He reluctantly agreed, so I hurried out to collect the dew. After collecting for a whole morning, I returned to the hilltop with the bottle, only to find Alden still standing in the same spot. I was surprised for a moment, but then thought it was none of my business, so I walked straight past him. "Wait," Alden stopped me. I looked at him in confusion. After a moment of silence, he reached up to take the bottle from my hand and said, "Thank you. Since leaving you, I haven't drunk dew for a long time." It suddenly dawned on me, he had been waiting all this time, thinking I was collecting dew for him. "Sorry, this wasn't for you," he said calmly. Alden's hand froze midair as he exclaimed in astonishment, "Not give it to me, then who?" Then he added angrily, "Don't tell me you're giving it to that snake, such a low-level demon beast, and a snake at that. What right does it have to drink dew?" I frowned. "Don't discriminate against my snake. As long as it's contracted with me. Even if it's a low-level demon beast, I'll take good care of it. If you want to, have Amara collect it for you." Alden was stunned. I left with the bottle in my arms, not caring what he thought. Entering the courtyard, I closed the gate and walked into the room, immediately spotting Uncle Snake in his half-human, half-serpent form, coiled in my blankets and idly fiddling with things. "You're finally back." Seeing me, he slid off the bed and slithered over to complain. "You were gone for so long." I handed him the bottle. "Do." He didn't take it, sniffed me, and frowned. "Why do you smell like bird stench? Have you been raising another bird behind my back?" "No." "Yes, you have. You reek. It's all mixed feather bird stink." Old Man Snake suddenly flew into a rage. his tail instantly growing thick and long as it wildly thrashed about the room. In no time, the room was completely trashed by his sweeping. This temper, it's just too capricious. Hey, I spent the whole morning gathering dew for you, and this is how you treat me. I couldn't help shouting. You've been raising birds behind my back, he hissed angrily, his body instantly transforming into a complete serpent form, baring his fangs to bite me. Humiliating this venerable one, I shall devour you. Terrified, I quickly explained, I didn't raise birds behind your back, I used to keep a vermilion bird, but now he's with someone else. We just happened to meet today and exchanged a few words. After my desperate explanations, the snake finally calmed down somewhat. As if you dare keep another behind my back. After a moment of smug satisfaction, he grew angry again, that mangy vermilion bird. How dare he abandon you, with your extraordinary talents and refined taste? How could he possibly do such a thing? I froze for a moment, slightly surprised. You think I'm good? Ever since my spirit bone was extracted, apart from my mother, this was the first time someone praised me and thought highly of me. It had been so long since I'd heard praise that I actually felt flattered. Of course, it's obvious. If your spirit bone hadn't been taken, you'd be a genius too, despite your low cultivation. You never gave up, ventured alone into the forest, and nearly contracted a high-tier demon beast. No one else has done that except you, and of course, your judgment is the best. You contracted this venerable one, the serpent declared matter-of-factly. You're my master, that mangy vermilion bird abandoned you, which is an insult to my dignity. When I see him, I'll tear him to pieces and stir-fry him into kung pao chicken. Oh. This savage serpent actually knows about kung pao chicken. I was initially angry at his unreasonable outburst, but my anger instantly melted away because of his indignation on my behalf, even feeling somewhat pleased and touched. This serpent may have a terrible temper, but he's quite protective of his master, and has rather good taste too. My heart feels sweet and joyful. Upon hearing that I had kept a vermilion bird for 10 years, the snake grew jealous. Its first act was to rush into the courtyard, transform into a giant serpent, and bite through the phoenix tree planted there. It then forced me to gather and discard all the vermilion bird's former belongings. I was utterly exhausted by the ordeal. The snake remained dissatisfied, flicking its tongue to sniff around. Anything carrying the vermilion bird's scent would be found and thrown out. Over half the items in my courtyard had disappeared. Staring at the empty room, I seethed with anger but dared not speak, seeing him ready to continue his rampage. In desperation, I grabbed something from a nearby box and handed it to him. A gift for you. Stop throwing tantrums. The serpent transformed into human form, took the object and asked, for me. Only then did I see clearly. What I'd casually handed him was the pouch I'd embroidered for Suzaku over several days many years ago. The stitches were clumsy, the pattern distorted. What's embroidered on this? The man examined the pouch. It's a snake, I said, actually. It was supposed to be the head and neck of a vermilion bird, but being my first embroidery attempt, the craftsmanship was so poor that it looked like a snake. The man suddenly became delighted. So you like snakes? I flattered him, and dragons too. Dragons and snakes are of the same family. The snake narrowed its eyes, finally satisfied, and slithered over to coil its lower body around me. Warning, listen, in this lifetime, you can only have me. Yes, 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 I replied perfunctorily, thinking to myself that I should hurry and become the clan leader. Once I extend my lifespan, I'll part ways with this snake. He does have good taste, recognizing my fine qualities at a glance, but he's also too willful and too high maintenance. 8. A pouch. Finally managed to appease the snake lord. He found a string to thread it through and hung the pouch around his neck, seeming quite fond of this gift. I served the snake lord diligently, partly due to fear of his tyranny, and partly hoping he'll recover his strength soon to help me pass the trial. Without spiritual bones and with feeble cultivation, becoming the clan leader depends entirely on him. Half a month has passed, and the test day is tomorrow. I nervously asked Talon, how's your strength recovery going? Can you defeat the others? Talon said calmly, no. What? No. I was stunned. If I can't defeat the others, how can I pass the trial and become the clan leader at this moment? I could no longer hold back, grabbing his collar and shaking him violently. You lied to me. The snake grew angry, its eyes turning into yellow vertical slits. This venerable one never lies, I nearly wailed. You promised to help me ascend to the position of clan leader, but now you can't defeat the others. How can you help? Do it yourself, he said. By myself. My vision went black, feeling as if the sky was collapsing and the earth splitting. If I could rely on myself, why would I have gone through all the hardship of venturing into the forest to contract with a demon beast? I want to rely on myself too, but I lack spiritual bones and simply can't cultivate, Talon said. Lie down, I'll help you. Under the man's impatient threats, I lay down in despair. Talon reached out, his fingers instantly turning razor sharp. He thrust forcefully backward into the spine, carving out a long, gaping wound. What are you doing? I startled upright from the bed in terror. Don't move. The man's lips turned ashen with pain, yet he still peeled open the flesh of his back, slowly extracting a gleaming segment of spirit bone from within. The spirit bone was stained with blood, an extremely glaring sight. My pupils trembled as I stared at him in disbelief. At the age of 6, my spirit bone was extracted. The pain of that process is something I dare not recall for the rest of my life. Yet the man before me could actually extract his own spirit bone. The sheer perseverance and determination are truly terrifying, Talon said coldly. This venerable one has promised to help you, and naturally will keep that promise. He cast a spell, leaving me completely immobilized. Then, chanting an unusual incantation, he turned me over, cut open my flesh, extracted the nearly decayed beast bones from my body, and replaced them with his own spirit bones. Throughout the entire process, I didn't feel any pain. After finishing everything, Talon quickly transformed into a thin little black snake, weakly coiling up in the blanket. This is half of my spirit bone, enough for you to handle the upcoming trials. After shrinking, the pouch around his neck fell onto the bed. With difficulty, he stretched out his head, found the pouch, crawled into the loop, hung it back around his neck, and closed his eyes. I need to rest. He withdrew his spell. I gained freedom and quickly sat up, dizzy and at a loss. After a long while, I carefully placed him in the nest and tucked him in, but then I suddenly realized, he's a cold-blooded creature with no body temperature to begin with. He wouldn't feel warmth even in a nest. He fears the cold most of all, so I picked him up again and placed him on my arm, but he seemed too weak to coil around my arm and soon slid off. After hesitating for a moment, I put him in my pocket, opened my collar, and placed him against my chest, warming him with my body heat. Actually, when you think about it, raising a snake isn't that difficult. The day of trial has come. I must withstand the attacks of 3 priests for the duration of 1 incense stick to pass the trial and inherit the position of clan leader. Life or death matters not, with Talon's spirit bone. My cultivation soared overnight. Facing 3 high priests, I stood utterly fearless. Saintess, we shall show no mercy. The priest's voice was indifferent. Please, I said. As it concerned the clan leader election, most clan members had come, with Amara and Suzaku also among the onlooking crowd. Finally, this day has come. Despite having no real capability, she's occupied the holy maiden position for so many years. Thankfully, it all ends today. Indeed, once she's defeated, we'll select a new holy maiden to inherit the clan leader position. No need to choose. It's definitely Amara. The clan members were gossiping, but I ignored the surrounding opinions and focused on dealing with the 3 priests. Talon only lent me the spirit bone last night. Its bones seemed to retain certain properties, allowing them to manipulate my body during battle, enabling me to smoothly execute various moves, dodging and counterattacking. Gradually, the 3 priests grew solemn, and the others fell silent, all staring at me in astonishment. Half an incense stick's time passed. The 3 priests retreated to the side, exchanged glances, and summoned their spirit beasts. I instinctively wanted to summon Talon too, but remembering his cultivation hadn't fully recovered and he was severely injured, I continued to endure alone. Just this much was already enough to make everyone view me with newfound respect. How did she become so powerful? The clansmen asked. Those who mocked me before have fallen silent. Someone praised. Truly worthy of being the former clan leader's daughter, even after having your spiritual bone extracted, you didn't truly become worthless. Hearing these words, my heart ached with sorrow. Do you see now, mother? Back then you sacrificed yourself to obtain the vermilion bird for me, all to let me live on and not remain mediocre. Now, I suppose I've achieved it, even if it means borrowing external forces. What's the use of her being powerful? Who knows what strange methods she used? If she were truly powerful, how could she possibly contract with an ordinary snake? The person standing beside Amara was unconvinced. Amara stared at me intently, her gaze inscrutable. The 3 priests attacked simultaneously with their demon beasts, immediately increasing the pressure on me. At that moment, there was movement at my chest as the little black snake emerged from my collar. His body was slender, with a pouch hanging around his neck, if you ignored his true form and temperament. He looked quite adorable. The little black snake hissed with its mouth open, suddenly growing in size as it ferociously roared at the 3 demon beasts. The 3 demon beasts instantly recoiled in fear. A high-level demon beast. Everyone was stunned. The black serpent coiled around me, protecting me without attacking. Talon didn't transform into a black dragon. That was our initial agreement. He is an enemy of the Thousand Spirits clan. If he revealed his true form, everyone would recognize his identity and surely kill him, and I'd be in deep trouble too. Throughout our time in Thousand Spirits Mountain, he always moved in serpent form. His cultivation hasn't recovered at all, and he gave me half of his spirit bone, forcing himself to fight for me. I worriedly pushed his tail. Are you okay? The tentacle felt slippery and cold, like touching fine jade. Just scaring them, he whispered. If we really have to fight, I can't win. You go ahead. Hearing this, I quickly jumped out and took advantage of the beast's distraction to swiftly strike, knocking them all off the altar. Without the beast's assistance, I could continue to contend with the three priests. The time of one incense stick has passed. The saintess has won. The crowd shouted. Silence fell for a moment, then thunderous applause erupted. I stood at the center of the altar, both proud and guilty. 9. If I pass the trial, I will naturally inherit the position of clan leader. Tomorrow, the three priests will simultaneously open the forbidden area of the back mountain, allowing me to enter the inheritance site. Back in the courtyard, Talon had transformed into his small snake form, holding the pouch in his mouth and placing it in my hand. The string broke. He transformed during the trial, causing the pouch's hanging rope to snap. Seeing how much he cherished this pouch, I felt moved. It's just a pouch. No need to wear it all the time, he said. The first gift you gave me. Of course I'll keep it carefully. I was taken aback. I never expected him to value my gift so much. It made me feel cherished too, but the pouch was originally meant for Suzaku. In an instant, my heart felt both sour and bittersweet, yet warm. I quickly said, "This pouch was embroidered by me several years ago. It's not very pretty. Let me make you a new one." Really? The little black snake tilted its head, slithering up my arm, its tail tip wagging happily. Then I went one side with a snake and the other with a dragon. I agreed with a smile. Just throw this away. I grabbed the pouch and tore it apart forcefully. Back then, I spent days embroidering it, pricking my fingers countless times, yet Suzaku never even glanced at it. I don't know why I kept this pouch. Perhaps, my heart has never truly let go, seeing the little snake treasure this pouch so dearly. The void in my heart seemed to be filled, now that the pouch has turned to fragments. I've also let go of some heavy burdens. The little snake coiled around my arm to rest while I held needle and thread to embroider the pouch. The room was quiet and peaceful, utterly serene. I don't know how long it had been, but the night was deep. Someone suddenly knocked on my window. I stood up and opened the window. Suzaku stood outside, his beautiful face bathed in moonlight. I used to think he was the most beautiful person, but now, the most beautiful one is coiled around my arm. "What are you doing?" I asked. Suzaku silently looked at me for a moment. "Can we go out for a walk?" "No." I refused. Suzaku was stunned, then said, "Do you truly have no feelings for me anymore?" I couldn't help but sneer. Who is the one who betrayed trust and abandoned righteousness? Who is the one who cast me aside, as Amara's summoned beast? Aren't you afraid of angering her by coming to see me repeatedly? Suzaku's expression turned sorrowful, and after a long pause, he said, "She has other summoned beasts. She won't get angry, just cold and distant." I raised an eyebrow. Vermilion Bird continued, "I was wrong. I used to think she liked me, gentle and talented, but after staying by her side for so long, I realized she only likes those who are useful to her." I was puzzled. "You're useless to her. That can't be right, otherwise, she wouldn't have tried to seduce you repeatedly." Vermilion Bird smiled bitterly. "Perhaps. I never quite did things to her liking." I understood immediately. With Suzaku's temperament, it's no wonder he'd stoop to competing for favor and trying to please Amara. It's perfectly normal for Amara to ignore him. "You made all these choices yourself," I said. Preparing to close the window, Suzaku hurriedly said, "Could you come out and keep me company for a while? Don't you like me the most?" I laughed mockingly. "Who gave you the nerve? Don't bother me again." With that, I forcefully shut the window. "You're truly useless. Can't even manage to ask her out. What good are you?" Amara's voice suddenly rang out outside the window. At that moment, I suddenly caught a strange scent, then lost consciousness. When I woke up again, I found myself locked in a pitch-black room. The faint light seeping from above told me it was already daytime. Amara stood before me, with Juke silently by her side. "Amara, let me go." I was tightly bound with special ropes, unable to break free. Amara sneered. "That's impossible." I looked up at Suzaku, hatred seeping into my eyes. "You actually helped Amara kidnap me. All that talk about wanting to chat and thinking highly of me was just lies, wasn't it?" Suzaku couldn't meet my gaze, his lips trembling slightly as he whispered, "I'm sorry. I'm his master, so naturally he should obey me." Amara said, "Why would you do this?" I quickly calmed myself down. Amara laughed. Guess, she clearly didn't want to answer, tilting her head to listen to the commotion outside. "Time's up." As she spoke, she pulled out a human skin mask and covered her face with it, then drew a knife to cut my hand, smearing the blood on her face. Using some unknown spell, she completely transformed into my likeness. I realized, I understand. You want to take my place in entering the land of inheritance. Why, there aren't so many whys in this world. Amara didn't explain, turning to instruct Juke and the other two beasts. "Keep watch over her here. Don't let her take a single step away." "Understand." "Understood," the three replied, after giving her instructions. Amara hurriedly left the room. "I'm sorry. I have to obey her orders." Suzaku apologized to me. I sneered. At this point, words are useless. I used to think he was noble, going so far as to search for phoenix trees and collect morning dew, indulging his every whim. Now I see. It's nothing special after all. I must have been blind. I'm sorry. Suzaku spoke again, seeming quite irritated. He paced anxiously around the room, drawing displeasure from the other two demon beasts. Lorelei, everything I said is true. I'm not lying to you, he approached and said painfully. But I've already formed a contract. I can't disobey orders. I let out a light laugh, couldn't be bothered with him, and spoke. Talon, stop spectating and take me away already. 10. A light chuckle came from above. The three demon beasts slipped up and were instantly enveloped by an overwhelming pressure, frozen in place. A stunning long-haired man descended from the sky, landing before me and untying the ropes. The three demon beasts regained their movement and surrounded us in the center. I looked coldly at Suzaku. Are you going to stop me too? Suzaku's lips trembled slightly, his expression growing resolute. I've been wrong too many times before, but not this time. With that, he stepped aside. I was somewhat surprised. When demon beasts defy orders, they suffer backlash, yet Suzaku actually betrayed Amara for me. Vermilion Bird, how dare you betray our master? The two demon beasts were furious and tried to attack me. The vermilion bird transformed into its true form to block them. The three demon beasts were locked in fierce combat. Talon and I quickly left. Arriving at the forbidden grounds, the three priests were shocked to see me. Holy maiden, weren't you already inside? How are you here? I said. The one who entered was Amara in disguise. What? The priests exchanged bewildered glances. The priest quickly confirmed and was surprised to find that I was indeed Lorelei. The clansmen waiting nearby were also astonished. Could the person who entered really be Amara? That's impossible. Why would Amara do this? Yes, this is the clan leader succession ceremony. What is she doing here? Does she want to become the clan leader? She must be crazy. Even if she enters the sacred inheritance ground, she can't become the clan leader. Hearing the crowd's murmurs, I interrupted. Because she carries my spirit bone. She must undergo purification in the jade pool to cleanse her meridians and fully merge with it, or she will die. Last night, Amara drugged me, but Talon noticed immediately and secretly warned me. I wanted to verify the truth through adventure, so I pretended to be drugged and taken away. Now that Amara has impersonated me to break into the heritage site, it almost proves that the spirit bone she possesses is mine. Hearing my words, the crowd was shocked once again. I am the true clan leader. Let me in, I said. I'll explain after coming out. The three priests hastily made way. I strode inside. Inside was a long cave tunnel that suddenly opened up at the end, revealing a steaming hot spring. Amara was soaking in it, her arms resting on the edge, eyes closed with a look of utter contentment. Seeing her, I no longer hide the disgust in my heart. She actually stole my spirit bone, steal the vermilion bird. And she stole my inheritance ceremony too. Her mother's death originated from her too. I quietly approached, then suddenly reached up to choke her neck. Amara was greatly shocked and struggled desperately. Without hesitation, I raised the knife and stabbed towards her chest, stabbed 3 times in succession. Amara never expected me to barge in. Under a series of swift, ruthless, and precise actions, she was directly inflicted with severe injuries. Lorelei, how did you get in here? She lay terrified by the poolside, completely defenseless, surprised. If you don't want others to know, don't do it. I smiled, stole my spirit bone, thinking to fully merge it using the jade pool. Dream on. Amara widened her eyes. You knew. Of course I knew. When Talon mentioned the peculiar aura of her spirit bone, I already suspected she had stolen mine. This time, with her resorting to kidnapping, I'm almost certain of it. Even if it's not the case, I'll play along and lure her into the jade pool to steal her bones. I've been thinking about this ever since Talon replaced my spirit bones. Talon wants his bones to replace the decaying beast bones and merge with me, so I can survive and even enhance my cultivation, but using half of his bones will surely leave him severely weakened. I don't want to hurt Talon. That willful and single-minded dragon chose a useless person like me as his master, helped me repeatedly, and gave me hope. How could I bear to hurt him? Day and night I keep thinking how wonderful it would be if I could steal someone else's spirit bone and replace Talon's at the jade pool, but my moral compass wouldn't let me choose a target. I kept praying that if someone harmed me, I would have a reason to take their bones. I prayed and prayed endlessly, until Amara laid hands on me, the moment Talon warned me about the sedative. I was overjoyed and made up my mind instantly. Amara, it's you. Her entering the jade pool conveniently facilitates my plan. You've chosen a fine spot. I smiled while raising the knife and approaching. No, Lorelei, I apologize. Don't kill me. Amara struggled to retreat. I won't kill you, I said with a smile, crouching beside her. I just want my bones back. 11. A piercing scream echoed by the jade pool, back when my bones were forcibly extracted. I too screamed and begged in agony like this. It's a pity no one paid attention. No, naturally. I wouldn't pay attention either. My knife skills were poor. When I cut open Amara's back, it was a complete mess, and it took a long time to extract her bones. Amara suffered greatly and passed out completely. I leaped into the jade pool, my heart filled with determination, and raised the knife to slit open my own spine. Excruciating pain surged through me, yet having undergone bone replacement twice before, this was far more bearable compared to the first raw stripping. With the jade pool's assistance, I remained fully conscious throughout, extracting Talon's spirit bone and carefully placing it on the shore before replacing it with my original spirit bone. In the jade pool, my wounds gradually healed, and the spirit bone completely fused with me. I disdain Amara's spirit bone. The thought of having her essence inside me makes me sick. After completing the ritual, I grabbed Amara by the hair and dragged her out of the sacred ground. She was severely injured and should have died, but with the help of the jade pool, she miraculously clung to life. I dragged her all the way outside and threw her on the ground, kidnapping the saintess and impersonating me to enter the inheritance site. She has committed grave crimes. Everyone saw Amara's face. It's really her. It was actually Amara impersonating her. Could the theft of the spirit bone also be true? But back then, Amara was only 7 years old. How could she possibly have swapped the spirit bone? The crowd couldn't believe what they were seeing. At that moment, a giant serpent flew across the sky, landing and transforming into a handsome man. The man was holding a person in his hand, tossing them to the ground like trash. Is this Elder Zayden? The crowd was shocked when they saw the person on the ground. Within the Thousand Spirits clan, the highest ranking positions are the 3 high priests and the clan leader. The 3 high priests rarely leave the Forbidden Grounds, guarding the ancestral legacy. The clan leader governs all members of the clan. Below the clan leader are the 3 elders. Amara's father is one of the 3 elders. What a coincidence. We just captured him when you came out. Talon walked up to me with a smile, sniffed at me, and said contentedly, "Your aura is harmonious. The spirit bone has returned." "I've always said the bones on Amara were yours." I laughed. "You've got the best taste." The man proudly lifted his chin. I looked around and said, "The one who extracted my spirit bone was Elder Zayden." "Elder Zayden, speak." Talon kicked Elder Zayden. Elder Zayden gritted his teeth and said, "I know nothing about this matter." I walked up to Elder Zayden and spoke in an icy voice. "Amara used a mask to impersonate the saintess. The dark arts and tools she employed can all be traced back to their origins with thorough investigation. Elder Zayden, I advise you to tell the truth sooner rather than later." "Elder Zayden, I know nothing, and certainly nothing about the spirit bone." Amara impersonated the saintess out of eagerness to become clan leader, but the claim about extracting the spirit bone is pure nonsense. On the contrary, it's you who forcibly seized Amara's spirit bone. Your intentions are utterly despicable. If it were just about counterfeiting, Amara wouldn't have died, but with the sin of extracting spirit bones added, both Amara and he were doomed. Elder Zayden naturally refused to admit it and even shifted the blame. I paid no attention and just smiled. Talon let out a cold snort, his figure vanished, and soon reappeared holding 2 people in his hands. These 2 are the ones who drugged outside the saintess's courtyard last night. They also participated in the incident of stripping the saintess's spiritual bone years ago. The 2 knelt on the ground begging for mercy. Elder Zayden's face turned pale, yet he still refused to admit it. The 3 priests wore stern expressions as they led the 2 away for separate interrogations. I walked up to Elder Zayden, opened my palm, and asked, "Do you recognize this?" Seeing the object in my palm, Elder Zayden's pupils contracted slightly. "This is Elder Zayden's signet ring. Wasn't it lost over a decade ago?" The crowd was utterly astonished. Elder Zayden's lips trembled. "The ring. How did it end up in your hands?" I spoke slowly. "Elder Zayden, there's something you might not know. When you extracted my spirit bone back then, I struggled so violently that the elder's ring on your finger accidentally fell into my body and got lodged in the bone. My mother was too focused on saving me to notice, so the ring fused with my bone over time. Today at the jade pool, when I was clumsily changing my bones and accidentally damaged some others, I discovered this object inside me." I raised the ring to show the crowd. "Look how perfectly the bone and ring have fused together." The ring was tightly clamped onto the bone, with the fused parts having grown together. This was certainly not achieved in a single day. Elder Zayden's lips trembled violently. They confessed. A clansman came over and said, "The 2 who drugged my courtyard left traces and physical evidence, and unable to endure the torture, quickly confessed." Elder Zayden initially refused to admit anything, but with the ring as evidence and the irrefutable facts of Amara's kidnapping and impersonation of the saintess to break into the inheritance grounds, coupled with the confessions from both, he had no choice but to concede. "I did it." It turned out that Amara was born with 2 spirit bones, making her a rare genius. which delighted him greatly. At that time, he had a falling out with his mother and held a grudge, thus developing ambitions to seize power. He carefully nurtured Amara, but as she grew older, one of her spirit bones began to wither, affecting the other as well. If this continues, both spirit bones will wither, and Amara will become a cripple. If it continues, Amara will become a complete and utter cripple. Elder Zayden, unwilling to accept this and jealous of my mother, devised a plan to capture me, strip my spirit bones, and use a secret method to replace the damaged bones in Amara's body. From then on, he not only preserved Amara's other bone but also enabled her to obtain a stronger spirit bone. With a single move, Amara became a renowned genius in the cultivation world, contracting 3 high-level demon beasts. However, the foreign spirit bone was incompatible. If Amara couldn't enter the jade pool to fully merge with it, she would die shortly after coming of age. Therefore, she had to seize the position of clan leader. To survive, the father-daughter pair often incited clan members to humiliate me, demanding I relinquish my position as the Holy Maiden. She kept excelling relentlessly, making me appear utterly worthless in comparison, leading everyone to believe Amara should be the saintess and clan leader. Little did I know, my mother risked her life to dispel miasma for me, exchanging it for a vermilion bird to desperately preserve my position as saintess. My mother perished while dispelling the miasma, leaving me alone and helpless. The Zayden family intensified their efforts to humiliate me, demanding I relinquish my position voluntarily, while Amara persistently seduced the vermilion bird, stripping me of my last chance to become clan leader. In the end, they succeeded. Suzaku chose Amara. They were determined to obtain the position of clan leader. But unexpectedly, after returning from the Demon Beast Forest, I actually passed the trial and became the clan leader. In desperation, Amara had to kidnap me and impersonate me to enter the Jade Pool, attempting to merge the Spirit Bone. However, I escaped and entered the inheritance site, not only retrieving the Spirit Bone but also revealing the truth to the world. Upon learning the truth, everyone wore complex expressions, utterly stunned. 12. After the event ended, I returned Talon's spirit bone to him. The snake wasn't pretentious and happily accepted. This way I'll recover faster. Seeing his undisguised joy, I couldn't help but smile too. This snake has a terrible temper and is hard to keep, but easy to please, transparent, without so many hidden agendas. Being with him feels so effortless. I officially became the leader of the Thousand Spirits clan, receiving the worship of thousands. All the doubts and humiliations surrounding me seemed to vanish completely overnight. I became the most revered person in Thousand Spirits Mountain. Many people have shown me kindness, but I remain indifferent. Over the years, I've learned to stay composed whether honored or humiliated. Amara and Elder Zayden were sentenced to death. Before the execution, I went to see Amara. She had regained consciousness. Looking utterly dejected, with none of her former glory remaining, she sighed and said, "Lorelei, you might not believe me, but I never wanted to be your enemy. I was too young back then. My father made the decision for me. I had no choice at all. Everyone wants to live, to survive. I had to walk this dark path to the end. These years have been painful for you, but I too have lived in constant fear, terrified I'd never reach the Jade Pool and wouldn't survive. I'm sorry. I believe that a dying man speaks from the heart. What she said is true, but so what?" When the apology finally came, I remained silent for a long time before turning to walk out of the prison. I will never forgive her. 3 days later, the Zayden family father and daughter were hanged, their bodies forbidden burial in ancestral lands. In the beliefs of our Thousand Spirits clan, if a body cannot be buried in ancestral grounds, the soul will wander forever, unable to be reincarnated. After Amara's death, her summoned beast regained its freedom. The phoenix survived the backlash. One day, I was collecting dew for the snake in the mountains. A fiery red figure flew to my side. "Lorelei, what brings you here?" I frowned at the phoenix. The vermilion bird hesitated for a moment before lowering its head and saying, Could I become your summoned beast?" I looked at him in surprise. I never expected him to say such a thing. These were words I had yearned to hear for many years. Had I heard them 2 months ago, how overjoyed I would have been. It's a pity that in just 2 short months, there have been earth-shaking changes in personnel. Now hearing his pleading words, my heart is as calm as still water. Seeing that I didn't respond, Suzaku anxiously said, "If I can't be your summoned beast, I must return to my clan. I don't want to leave you." I laughed helplessly. "Then go back." He looked up in shock and defended himself. "Are you still blaming me? I was deceived by Amara, although I did something wrong. I helped you afterward and testified for you. Can't my merits offset my faults?" I shook my head. "It's not about that. There's only one reason I don't want you." Suzaku's eyes reddened. "What reason?" I smiled and shook the water bottle in my hand. "My snake is too jealous. I can only have him." Suzaku was stunned. Holding the water bottle, I walked away from him, getting farther and farther. Suzaku's affairs no longer concerned me. Having betrayed his trust, His position within the clan would surely become untenable upon his return. I won't speak up for him. He deserves this. Return to the room. The snake, with disheveled hair, swayed its body as it slithered toward me. Just as it was about to speak, it suddenly frowned and sniffed. Why do I smell something foul like a bird? As it kept sniffing, it grew furious. You went behind my back to see that mangy phoenix again, didn't you? Admit it. You still like him. You promised not to see him anymore. What a jealous one. He transformed into a dragon and coiled tightly around me, his eyes turning into vertical slits. How dare you? Paying no attention to his tantrum, I delightedly touched the horns on his head. You can turn into a dragon now. Transforming into a dragon meant Talon had regained his strength. Yes, he continued to cling to me stubbornly. Don't change the subject. Tell me, are you still thinking about that mongrel bird? I forbid you to look at him, forbid you to speak with him. I won't, I assured him. Suddenly, I felt two hard things. Something's poking me, I said. The dragon stiffened, then slowly loosened its grip. After a moment, I realized what it was and widened my eyes. Are you in heat? Demonic beasts enter heat at certain times. Talon retreated in embarrassment. No, don't talk nonsense. I couldn't resist teasing him. Then what was that just now? His face turned red as he exclaimed, "It's the treasured sword at my waist." After saying this, he shyly slithered away, coiling around a pillar up to the high dome, refusing to come down. I coaxed for a long time before pulling out a pouch from my robe. Hey, come down. If nothing unexpected happens, I should smoothly become the clan leader. For me, I said. The pouch is embroidered, one side with a snake, the other with a dragon. He peeked over. His lower body coiled around the pillar while his upper torso leaned from the beam toward me. Taking the pouch joyfully, he exclaimed, "So beautiful." Looking utterly delighted with it, I took out a string to thread through the pouch and hung it around his neck. He quickly retreated to the beam overhead, his face still flushed, but his tail coiled around the pillar betrayed his emotions, swishing back and forth, seemingly in high spirits. I shook my head helplessly. This demon is actually so innocent. 13. Once Talon regains his dragon form, I will publicly resign as clan leader. Why are you leaving? Asked the tribespeople. Why? I said calmly. This place holds painful memories for me. Every day spent here brings me sorrow. The crowd wore strange expressions. Remaining silent, I left without hesitation. The things others pursue never mattered to me from the start. The reason I clung to the saintess position and fought for the clan leader role was to survive. To make my mother feel proud. Now that the mission is complete, Talon is the enemy of the Thousand Spirits clan, with an unusual identity, so naturally I must leave. Leaving Thousand Spirits Mountain, I touched Talon's face and said, "Be yourself now, no need to hold back anymore." Talon blinked, smiled faintly, then transformed into a giant dragon and said solemnly, "Get on." I straddled his back as he carried me through the clouds, feeling happier than ever before. From then on, the world was our oyster as we soared freely through the skies.